Hello everyone, and welcome to the Mythic Dimensius guide. I'm getting this ASAP because I know a lot of guilds are hard stuck on this boss, trying to make their Hall of Fame push. So, just want to go over kind of how things work and how you're going to set up the boss if you're making that push right now. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make your comp. Your comp matters a lot on this fight. You need some things to even do the boss. The first thing you're going to need is 2 DKs. You can get away with 1 DK if you do some Cursed Hunter Monk knock, but at the end of the day, it's just easier just to grip things in P2. It's more consistent. You don't require on player doing skill shot stuff. So also DKs are just good in general here. Number 2, you're going to need 2 Warlocks. There's no way around this. It is just a hard requirement. If you do not have 2 Warlocks and you're about to get to this boss, you need another Warlock. That's something I thought they were going to change on the initial change of this boss, and I'm kind of expecting it to change soon. But 2 Warlocks makes P1 doable, and P2 somewhat easier. So keep that in mind. Next here, we are going to like to have a Pres Evoker. I think this is, you can get away with that one, but they're very, very strong for a lot of areas of this fight. So that's like something I would definitely push to have. Another thing that's extremely good is 2 Evokers. With the Winds nerf, you can kind of get away with no Evokers to 1 Evoker, but it's really, really hard. You kind of want 2 Evokers no matter what. The third is nice, but not required. After that, you fill out your raid buffs. There's some classes that are better than others. Like Ellie Shaman does a lot of good things. Subrogue does a lot of good things. Mages do a lot of good things. But you fill out your raid buffs, put your best players in it. From there, you'll be good. So that is with the comp. Next here, I just want to hop right into P1. So P1, you are going to have a lot of setup here, and the whole goal here, this, if you're going to use this image, compare it with our kill logs. This was made initially, and there was probably adjustments made that weren't addressed in here. You're going to need to set up something like this. So every single soak spread spot, you're going to have assignments, and then you're going to go to those assignments. One thing to note is you see this, and this is so that the Evoker can get a flame breath on both ads. The way you split up your sides here is also really important. You need to think about healer strength, just player skill plus class. Pres Evoker is very, very strong. For example, I can already tell this is out of date because our healers are on different sides. But for example, Pres Evoker is really strong. Other classes are really weak, and you want to kind of make them equal. So we can actually go in here. We can take a look at what we did. So you can see this is the first. This is our split here. So we did make some changes from that image. You see Holy Priest Pres. On this side, it's going to be Shaman and HP on the other. This side, this has weaker healers because they don't have the Pres. And then you want to try to balance out the DPS. So you can see here, Mages are split, Warlocks are split, DKs are split. Some really, really weak classes, like Barrel. I don't remember if BM Hunter does well or not, but you try to equal out your classes, and then for the side that we need help with, we actually sent our warrior tank over to kind of help out and do more damage, as the monk tank does the majority of the tanking in this phase. Tactics will come out with a video, probably talking a lot about the tank stuff, but the warrior tank really assists. Now, I think it's just going to be easy to look at a VOD. All these images will be linked if you want to use them as reference. So here, Off the rip, you go to your sides, just like Heroic. You go down, just like Heroic. And there's going to be these 3 ads. Very, very basic. You kill them, you gather, and you hide. Sometimes this can be a little off center, like this is actually a really good example, so just make sure you're in the purple, not the end of the world. And then we're going to get into a cadence with slight twists. So the first cadence here is knock into ranged pre-spread. So remember those initial spread spots we saw? You're going to see the range here. They're doing it the same on the other side. They're pre-spreading their spots, and they're killing off these ads. These ads do a ton of ramping damage, and it got nerfed already and still a lot. So they're going to start casting or channeling vision into people, and it's going to kill them. These ads need to die equally, and you can see you just need to figure out who's going to be killing what ad. So here you can see this is Warlock, Hunter, a little Shaman, Warlock, Dev, a little Shaman, Dev, Warrior, Shaman, DK, DH, DK, so each side is going to have a little extra here to handle. Shamans can do some cool stuff where they chain lightning, I think the first ad, but yeah, each class needs to look at how they're going to deal with it, and you need to try to make it somewhat equal because you have to kill them in 10 seconds. However, the biggest tip of this phase is kill ads fast, it won't be a problem. Yes, if you just one-shot an ad, it's going to be a problem. When you kill an ad, it's going to do like a 10-second cast. If all the ads don't die in that time, they're going to basically just come back with full health and you wipe. But if everyone's doing a lot of damage to them, then it in theory shouldn't be a problem that much. So the other mechanic here is the soak mechanic. The call I was making here is once you see the soak explodes, you step in. Explode, in, everyone's in here. This is the bar of it. And now these ads have died, and you're going to have the gravity mechanic. The way this works is you're going to have players assigned to pick up orbs. It's all going to be in the weak aura. I don't think there's too much reason to talk about it. The general idea, though, is if you get one of these, you cannot pick up a mass, period. So what we do here is we leave them on the ground. We see who gets picked. Whoever's assigned to pick them up will pick them up. And then they need to walk with them the whole time. You cannot stop and cast. The second you stop and cast, it's GG. So walk with them, and then we're going to get in the cadence here. So also notice no lust on pull. I'll talk about that in a second. But we get in the cadence, knockback, and now this cadence is a quicker spread. So we spread. The melee are here. They're going to spread at the last second. We're going to our new spots. We step out, and then it's going to be soak. Also, these indicates how ahead or behind the ads are. Bigger number equals usually bad. Once the soak goes, you go in, boom, in, leave these on the ground, don't touch them at all costs. This is the weak aura telling him, hey, if no one picks up the range one, you get it. Yep, so he picks it up because this person might have been assigned or no, someone didn't assign it. And notice how they're walking with it. And this is the gateway. This is why warlocks are basically required. The only way you can do this without another warlock is if you like do a dragon like here or something, and then just have the one group meet the other group, but it's very cursed. So here you're going to bring them in, you're going to gateway in, and then the second this ends, you have to fan out because you're going to see here, the boss is going to do an auto, boom, and anyone in that auto is going to get knocked around, and if you're not top for this knockback, you're going to die. So in comms, I was saying like, okay, fan out because of that auto. We do the knockback into a spread again, killing the ads. This is, see, like this number is not ideal, but because of the way they're doing damage, it's going to catch up. You just have to figure it out. Once the soak goes, you go. Don't pick up the extra orbs. So he gets one here. Notice how we're stacking him in this little Venn diagram. Boom. Drag down. And then here, we're starting to stop damage. So just some prog tips. You you don't lust P1. When you get to this boss, lust P1, so you can get P2 ASAP. And then we want to move lust back consistently to P1 or P2 platform 1, P2 platform 2, and then the burn. But the reason we're stopping damage here is we need to push at 2 minutes and 50 seconds. And that is how you get all the timings to line up. So you can see here we're 223, and this is only going to become worse and worse of a problem. There'll probably be some type of solution if you're doing enough damage. But you can see everyone's just kind of waiting around. Knock, pre-spread, but we're still waiting. We could have pushed there, but what we're doing here is we're trying to kill these ads because these fishing casts can kill people at the end of this phase. Still. But if you take out these ads or even take out one of the ads on each side, it's going to lower the fission death chances. Ignore that soak. Try to push it 250. I think we pushed a second early here, but it should be mostly okay. Once you push it 250, timings will line up. So just something to learn. So that is P1. General tips here. Tip 1, be consistent with your spread spots. Tip 2, understand how the weak order works with picking up the things. If someone doesn't know to walk with the circle the whole time, you are just going to get wiped by them. Another tip, that gateway set for Prague is so unbelievably brutal because it's very hard to heal even after the nerfs. So make sure you're top tier, and it's because of like if healer's up, they can't heal, and if a healer's bringing them in, they can't heal as well. So you need to make sure you're good. And then, like I said, kill ads quickly solves a lot of problems because you're stopping damage anyway. So that is P1. P1 intermission. So what you can see here is us like assigning orbs for flyers. And I don't need to go over this because it's actually really easy to prep. But these are like letters for people's names. So this is a warlock. This is an evoker one. You know, tank, healer. So you can assign people the orbs, and the best way to do that is to see what other guilds with your comp who are better than you are having them assigned, and also make your good dragon riders do it. There's some really hard ones. Let's see if I can remember what the buff name is. Probably not at the top of my head. But you can go in the logs and you can figure out, you know, who's doing the orb. And then you can hit the boss and assign. So we had, if I remember off the top of my head, the tank not taking the boss first, Voker, maybe the Druid, I don't 100% remember, 2 of the healers, oh sorry, 3 of the healers, and I think that was it. But one thing to note is what we're doing in the intermission. I'll just play it out. When you initially start Prague, you want to have everyone try to get their orb. There's one orb that's really hard that our Resto Shaman was getting, but if you go into our logs, you will not see our Resto Shaman getting it. And the reason for that is we actually took it away because we were doing too much damage on the first platform. Stopping damage on the first platform is really annoying because a lot of your damage needs to come at the end when you're trying to burst everything down. So to kind of deal with it, we just didn't pick up one of the orbs that will do damage to the mini boss, and you're going to see the boss not take all the hit and be 7% higher than normal. Now, a bug that can occur, it could have been a latency bug since one of our tanks is EU. Sometimes you can't mount. It happens to everyone, but it was happening to him more. So what we ended up doing is anytime we got the mount bug, you're going to see... Oh, we actually got here on time. This is not a good pull. So if he didn't get here on time due to the bug, we just had a melee taunt and run away. And it gave him like a few seconds to catch up. Just a little tip. So with this platform, there's a lot of 130s being sent. You need to go into your logs in other guilds' logs using your comp and figuring out when people are using their CDs, when people are using their trinkets, and when evokers are using time spirals. There's time spirals for 2 evokers and 3 evokers that you need to pull from. And that also is consistent in P1, so make sure you do that. But the general gist here is you're going to have your DK's grip. So let's go back. So first thing, this gets knocked. See this? This is an evoker doing a knock. Very consistent, very, very easy. So that null binder is going to come in. Alright? And then you're going to assign DKs, one DK the grip twice, the other one the grip once. You're going to get everything in, and then you make a CC order. That CC order needs to be pretty precise because of how things occur, mostly on the second platform, but I'll talk through it when I get there. First one, we just have 2 melee do it because it's very easy, there's not much going on. So they do the CCs, lines are going to go over to the left here. This line's kind of sus. This person probably could have moved, which made this move, which would make this move. There's just enough space, and we need to kill the Void, Void Warden that's closest to the middle. We had so many pulls where this one would die for no reason. Kill the one closest to the middle, and then we just had a player who was in the raid call when to move, and you're going to get here. This is something that we could have done to save like 30 pulls. And you say, okay, this looks easy. Well, this positioning took a ton of work. And I'm not talking about this line positioning. You're going to come over and do this line positioning on the first one. I'm talking about where people are standing. So you need to handle this for your raid, but you need to nail this every single time. This will make more sense in the last phase, but it's still the same concept for this phase. You can see here. And the way this basically works is you're going to have a melee soak, a healer soak, and a ranged soak. They are all going to go to the same spots every single time. The melee and the healer soaks, all the soaks can change depending on who gets targeted. So let's take a look in the log. I'm trying to talk slowly because I think if you nail it, you'll speed up your prog. Again, always comparing the logs because our images might have changed slightly. Oh, is it going to do the replay bug? Nope, we're good. Alright, so we're going to fly over. It's not the greatest. It's the replay is bricked. But the way they would kind of explain this is there's always going to be a melee, a healer, and a tank picked. Or sorry, a healer, melee, and a ranged DPS picked to do the mechanic. And what you're going to see here we go. I got the work. So our images are correct. Is they need to go to the same spot every single time. Now, there's a few things to note. First question, okay, why are these people stacked? Well, that is part of the image. This is giving you more space. The way this mechanic works is the melee who gets targeted goes dead center, but we also have someone assigned to dead center. The gravities, the big gravity, which is the big circle, and the small gravity, which is the small circle, those two together don't do that much damage when the players are stacked on each other. What's really going to hurt is when 2 small guys are on each other. Except for the tanks, they always stack. So we had our anchor points. You can see here, mark, mark, mark. These are anchors. These are consistent. These are people who are always going to be in that point, regardless if they're picked or not. If he's melee, right? So he's always going to go here. He's a healer. He's always going to go here. He's a range DPS, always going to go here. You're also going to see a melee here and 2 range here. Well, the reason for that is because we need more people in the soak because there's only 4 healers. So these 3 individuals need to know 2 spots. They need to know their healer spot, and they need to know, the mages need to know the range spot. If they get the range soak, which is possible, they go dead center in the range. If the melee gets it, he's going to go dead center in the melee. So they have an extra step. I really advise, and I wish we did this, your first night you get here, bully people as hard as humanly possible to do this correctly, and even if they get mad at you, because if you mess this up, it is literally GG. So you can even see in this example, these guys cleaved each other, and look how much damage he took. So that is the big mechanic there. So this first one's a line, and you can see range is going to go here every single time. Healer here, melee up front, and we're going to kill a Void Warden. Well, okay, let's take a step back. How is this happening? This Void Warden is going to just get cleaved, but you are going to see little Warlock bolts and other things starting to hit this far Void Warden. That is because Warlocks here are going to, you see this Havoc? They're targeting it, and they're killing it. Because after this goes off, this needs to die for wins. Like, immediately. So, we're going to get lines into pushback. Now, I'm going to pause here because this is the hardest part of the first platform. Alright? So when you're progging this phase, what you need to do is you need to have your range DPS help the Warlocks. You can see even here, see Lava Burst going off. Kill the Void Warden. Second this clears up, melee go, finish it off. These lines, if you looked at an old guide, you would see all the lines pointing off the edge, and there's a reason for that. Now, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to point them. This is not the greatest example in the world because everyone's mobile, but if you point them in the middle like this, the right here, you could have a line here, here, here. We had 3 of them actually. They are going to instantly be in the gap, and that is the goal. So this is an example right here. This is just more mobile classes over here. The tank, I think, had a port, so this is kind of misleading. But if you can line up in the gap, it is literally free every single time. If you don't do that, you're going to have people get pushed into the Void Wardens constantly and die. So you're going to do the push. And now, next ads are coming. The other DK, you're going to see here, the other Evoker is going to knock insta. One of the DKs is going to get 2, the other one's get 1. Lines. And I'm just yelling, kill the Void Warden, okay? This is when all the CDs have fallen off, and this Void Warden needs to die because we need the gate here. Once that is baited, you gate, insta, get in your spots, very consistent again, just a slightly different orientation. This is the triangle, range, melee, healer, get in your spot, push the boss. If we didn't get that orb, this boss we have been AFKing in this phase for a long time. And like I said, it's weird to AFK in this phase because you're always kind of having to do something. So it's just more consistent just to not collect orbs, but you can tackle it however you want. So you go to a point here, you mount, and you go. When you get to that platform, make sure you lust a lot at the beginning. And then on the second ads, just to make sure you push. You get all the orbs here. I'm not going to go over all the flight paths. It's up to your raiders to do that. These you get all the orbs because the platform's a lot tighter. And this is the next situation here. I am going to actually pull up on my second monitor some stuff. So the first thing here is the bait. This bait wiped us quite a bit. What you're basically doing is you're baiting the core mechanic of this phase, these orbs, here. and then you're going to catch them. I mean, it looks easy, right? Okay, you bait and you catch. Well, this circle is a problem because once you see this, you need to get out of it. If you stand in that circle, you're going to instantly eat the orb, so you can see all the melee shift. And then you're also going to see these people do the catch kind of far away. One thing to note, stun, shaman into DH. The reason for that is the shaman's cap totem is absolutely OP here. And they take that talent that makes it better. Because there's no way a melee is going to be able to get in there and get the stun consistently. You can see this also got pushed, double DK grip, single DK grip. And we're going to break the Void Warden, and then we're going to go. Alright? I do want to show off a few things on how tight this actually is. This is a pool where it was baited over here and basically wiped us. The orbs shoot out this way. This guy is literally 1 yard out of position. And it did it. 1 yard. Let's go to another image. It could have been either of these. It could have even been this guy. 1 yard out of position potentially. Maybe 2. It can bait horribly. There's a lot of examples of all our melee doing this. These are just the 2 that I found immediately when I was looking. So very, 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 very important that you do that bait properly. But then we're back to our core mechanic. Gravity. The Void Warden is taking all that Warlock damage. And there's going to be a pushback. So this one you have a lot more time to get in position to push back because there's no lines. So this is literally free. And then the general rule here is if this thing's under 20% when these despawn, you're on push pace. This platform, we had Warlocks and Mages pot with Warlock and Mages CDing. Again, you need to look at that stuff for your own guild and comp. The first platform, you have so many CDs going. That's why we didn't get that orb. But here you have so much less. So you get here initially, just keep chanting Lust and pots. You do not need pots for P1. Pot here. Until you get it stable. But again, we have a moon marker, so before it's X, and we're doing the bait. This is Giga Sus, so like there's a potential that this person could have baited here. Maybe, but that's what I'm saying. Like I noticed it looking at the VOD, so be really, really careful with that. And then for this set, this caused some wipes. Again, Evoker Knock and Shaman with the OP totem into the tank stun. Very important. Bully your shamans to do it. For this set, we are literally like kill the Void Warden. We have no CDs. This boxes melee out. We have to kill this Void Warden to get this gate off. We kill it quickly. This is actually a really good pull. Before we had a lot of pulls where it was like really, really tight. You get to your spots, and now ideally you wait for the wins here. So push back 2, 1, push. Yep, perfect. And then what you're going to do is you're going to run to the front here, and you just try to heal yourself as much as possible. If you fall off, it's fine as long as you don't die. So takeaways of P2. Assign pots to your Warlocks and your Mages for the second platform. Look at your CDs. It's probably going to be Warlocks and Mages. For a while, we were having our Hunter use CDs in pot 2 on the second platform. But again, when you're progging, Lust constantly on that second platform because you're going to think the DPS check is completely unfair. But you will learn how to do it eventually. So, other than that, the lines and the pushback, make sure you know how to do that with that special positioning and really, really hammer in that inverse gravity mechanic. If you cannot do that, you're doomed in P3. So P3 is actually very, very simple. Tactics will have a guide on the tank positioning, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. I'm just going to say, like, tank's going to be over here. But P3, low key, there's like 6 things you need to do. To start, just be in front here, helps the evoker heal, and you want to get in this AMZ, and these planets do a ton of damage, so group healing is really nice. Now, it's all about now making reads and pre-positioning. That's it. That's P3. Alright, sorry about that. My headset died. It's all about pre-positioning. So for now, we're just chilling here, and we're gonna make a read. The way this works, this will spawn, one will spawn behind you, the rings. Alright? So you always know, and this will never go first. I think it always goes last. So you can make a read either right or left. Okay? This comes out, you go right. You instantly want to get through this ring, and then you want to look at your debuff. The second this falls off, you want to chase a little and then go into this next ring, and then you want to take a step back so you don't get doubled. If you get doubled, you're basically dead. Alright? So that's how you deal with the rings every single time. It's going to spawn behind you, you make a read, and then you just juggle that debuff. Next, you're going to hide. This is hard assigned in the weak aura, and all you're going to do is go in at 1 second. So the way this works here is we just count, we have a counting system. So if you listen to our comms, you'll hear it. And it's going to be a lot of play around 2 and 1, or 2 and 4, and I'll talk about what that means later. But you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, counting left to right. So when we go to the VOD, he's in 3, 1's over here, 2, 3, 4, in at 1 second, out. So the group's moving over, and then this is the hardest part of the last phase for relative frog right now. What we're going to do is we're going to group up, and we're all using, we're either going to get topped with a health stone or health pot, or use our strongest personal remaining, and we're going to get in our spots, and we're going to live. But look how scary this is. Close to death, close to death, close to death, close to death. DR'd 40%. DR'd big time here too. And the way this is handled is this is a line set. We talked about that. The tank's going to come over here. The tank's going to be between these planets. And, alright, the range group, which is to the left, they are going to resist, alright, fully. They're going to be pulling in. He's resisting. Plant, go. The healer group slightly resists, just a little bit. So you'll see they got healer here. Slightly resists, kind of goes in this middle zone, readjusts, plants, and the melee slightly goes with the pull. They don't AFK, they slightly run with the pull. He slightly runs with the pull, adjusts, and boom. Alright? Using your biggest personal here is so nice if you have it available, because this destroyed us for a while. Once you get through this, and everyone's alive, the fight really slows down. So the next thing we want to do is you want to bait on 2. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4 active planets. The reason you bait on 2 is because it's going to make you end up in the right spot for the next set. So there's another right set. Same concept though. He's going to chase it. Debuff's going to go 2. He's going to wait for the debuff to go. People are going to back up 3. And then we're going to have a triangle formation. Alright? I call this the triangle. Our raid plan is going to call it the L. But the tank's going to be right here. The general idea is you make a triangle around 4. 4th planet, range, melee, healer, always in the back. The soak's going to pop right here, and you can actually fight it to avoid running in these planets and dying. Alright, so that is the 4th set, and then again it's just going to repeat. So we're in a rhythm now. On that 2nd planet, see how we're walking with the planet? This is a left set, so we go left. He's going to go insta. 1. He's going to chase down the next one. Wait for the debuff to go. 2. and then he's going to back up. 3. And then this, again, once this is happening, you want to pre-position for that triangle formation. Same concept. Triangle. And then this is the hands offset. And I'm just going to play it and then talk about it. Why? Ooh, see, this actually wasn't 100% good. So what ended up happening here, the reason it's the hands offset is because if you look at the circle, this isn't popping until the grip's over. Now the reason this was kind of sus is they set up the triangle a little to the left here. So the range group either had to be up here or the melee group had to be here like they were supposed to, and the range group was supposed to be here like they were supposed to. Because what ends up happening is the range group just gets literally dragged through the planet, and that's how someone dies. So, but it's okay, just a small optimization. But again, you're making that triangle around that 4th planet. Devour, very, very easy. Find your group going at 1 second. 1, 2, 3, 4 of the active planets. Run around. These are one-shots. I assume you know that from Heroic. The boss is also a one-shot. And also just note the tank positioning every time they do a grip. So now, after this, it's going to be another gravity, and this is the back set, all right? So what basically is happening here is you see a ping go down. He's indicating this is the healer one. Ping, always the healer one, which will be middle. Range is left, melee is right. These are the line sets, but in the back. So they're going to organize. The range guy realizes he has it, and now they get in their position. Melee in the back, healer in the back, range in the back. They're walking with the planets. Walk, walk, walk. Circle goes off. Pull, so you don't get pulled into the boss or a planet, and you're good. And now you have rings. This rings you have a lot less time to react to, so you need to get over here quickly. This is when we start falling apart because we didn't really see this part of the fight. So people are getting double ticked. It will kill you, get double ticked. And then it's the same concept. We'll have the ping. This is the healer one. You can pre-position. Range, healer, melee. Walk together. Once the thing goes off and it pulls, you can fight against it. You have rings again. And you do the rings, and then the boss just does a cast, and that's the fight. So, that is P3. It really, really comes down to, like, literally just following these steps here. These are, like, my raid leading notes. So, this is basically what you do. I'll leave it up here for a second if people want to... My terrible spelling errors when I'm just typing. I just put things in a notepad when they come up, and so I can just call off my second monitor. I'll also put that in the notes, in the comments. But that's P3. Once you understand how this works, it's GG. Just some small things. Again, you need to look for things like time spirals. Very, very, very important that you hit these correctly, depending on your comp. A note for time spiral as well. In P1, you might have an issue where both sides might not get it. That's because it's a range issue. We had that problem. Really important that these are hit right. And then you can look at things like, okay, who is destroying the living masses, right? Who's really good at it? Well, this one, again, ally shamans, right? They're good at this part of the fight. Some people are horrible. Horrible. So these classes are not so great. You know, and then, you know, you can look at Void Warden. Oh, that's the wrong Void Warden. That's because I'm in P1. You can look at Void Warden. Alright? Again, a Warlock's really, really nice here, really good. Um, and there's a lot of small things that you might not notice, like the rogue cloaks and hits the Void Warden, for example. Um, and those are the types of things that those people at their classes just need to know how to do. I don't know them all. I just know the cloak hit Void Warden one because it was an issue for us to kill Void Wardens for a while. So really look at your classes, why they're doing things, what they're doing, and making sure that you are in a good spot to kill this boss. So here is the harder platform. You can see the mage is doing a lot of work like we talked about. Um, yeah, and then we can come over here and just look at P3 if you're interested. P3 damage does kind of matter because the more you fight you can skip, the more disastrous it can get. So you can see here we had a lot of really strong classes just topping this meters. Um, but the Warlocks, they're going to do basically nothing because they're doing all their work on that second platform. It's a little misleading because people died. So like if we come in here and just maybe go to where people died. I know execute's going to be weird with this, but just an example. Look at other logs. Other than that, everything will be in the description. Raid plans, pictures. Feel free to reach out. Other than that, and lastly, I will say eye level matters a lot. Don't underestimate how important having more gear is for this fight. It really makes it a lot easier. The platforms and P3. But other than that, best of luck in your kill. That's all I got. Have a good one. Peace.